still February 24th, 2026. The first video ended because I had been simmering ginger for a long fucking time on low heat to make it actually get soft. And then I had to actually do the candying part, which is why I had to end the video. And then the second video I started recording, and that was while the first one was uploading to YouTube. And I had to charge my phone, so my phone decided it was just going to get too hot. So it automatically ended the video. Anyways, let me look at my fucking list again one more fucking time before we continue. Mouse, stop being stupid. Basic tenet of writing, or for just media analysis in general. If the second you start thinking about something, even a tiny fucking bit, it falls apart, that means it's not good. And I learned this lesson as a kid watching BBC's Sherlock, written by Stephen Moffat. I've probably mentioned this multiple times. It took so long for the third season to come out that by the time the third season came out, all of us kids who had been watching it and enjoying it because we didn't understand media analysis figured out media analysis by the time the fucking third one came out, and we were already realizing all of the massive fucking problems with all of the episodes up to then. And then it came season 3, where we were waiting for the explanation of how Sherlock, BBC's Stephen Moffat version of Sherlock, survived his apparent suicide, which is matching the fucking ending of the books that Arthur Conan Doyle wrote because he meant to end the series. It wasn't meant to be a cliffhanger that was meant to be the end. So we had years between seasons that are literally just mini-series trying to figure out how he survived. And then Stephen Moffat came along in season 3 after all of us kids had been figuring out media analysis in the meantime, and decided to literally laugh in our fucking faces for daring to care about the story that he's telling that he wants us to care about. So he literally made up fucking caricatures of fans to make fun of within the show and mock us for trying to solve the mystery that he had put in front of us. So we stopped watching, and we never watched anything by Stephen Moffat willingly again without doing it for the sole purpose of criticizing his bullshit, because, kids are not very good at media analysis, and once kids figure out that if you start thinking about something and it immediately stops making sense, it's over for you. You can't tell them shitty stories that don't make sense anymore, especially not when you're going to laugh in their faces, like Stephen Moffat literally did. He literally dedicated so much of the first episode of season 3 to mocking his audience. He literally put in characters made up to be audience surrogates to make fun of them, and make fun of us as the audience. So that was when I learned the basic lesson of, if it stops making sense the second you start thinking about it for more than 5 seconds, it's not good. And it's not secretly written bad either. We jumped ship before that whole fiasco. But people are doing that with the Murderbot Diaries as well. Main point that I was leaving off with is that criminals would happily kill to get guns, laser guns installed in their arms that are undetectable, because Murderbot's literally never been caught by a weapons scanner once in its fucking life. They're undetectable. They're not even visible. They're completely fucking invisible. Nobody ever notices them. They never fail. They never jam. They never glitch. Nothing like that. They have limitless ammo. We don't know what range they have, so as far as we know, you could use them to snipe somebody. And yeah, these are just unstoppable, overpowered laser guns that anybody in this universe could be getting installed in their fucking arms at any point. And Martha Wells just expects me to believe that nobody, including known criminals who are happy to violate so many other laws, including things like literally murdering people, which is a lot worse than getting fucking guns in your arms. And also, again, we're told that the corporations make their own laws, but also magically they all have the same exact fucking laws everywhere you go. It doesn't fucking make sense. So like even if having guns in your arms, putting guns in your arms were illegal unless you were a fucking enslaved person, in which case they're whatever. If that were true in the corporation's territory and country where Murderbot is from, why would it be true everywhere else? And why would it be true in this place this is set, where everything is laissez-faire? There's no fucking rules. It doesn't fucking make sense, and it's just shit writing and just basic flaws in the world building where the author cannot give enough fucks to even just think about how people would actually act in this kind of setting, the setting that we're told this is, but it's not actually. Probably, I think I got interrupted. But anyways, there's a character in fucking Neuromancer by, I forget the author's name. She literally she went out of her way to pay to get retractable razor-sharp claws put under her fingernails that she can retract and extend at will, like a fucking cat. And she had to work for years to pay off the debt from getting those things installed. And that was legal for her to do, I think. Maybe not. I can't remember that part. Probably not. Probably not legal. Quasi legal. But again, these are most of the people that Murderbot is dealing with in this series that are not the disgustingly rich slave owners are all criminals who are breaking all these kinds of laws, including laws that are just about basic morality, like don't murder people. So why the fuck am I supposed to believe that they would not? They're fine with the meme of, not even the meme, but like they're cool with murder, but they draw the line at putting unstoppable, undetectable, unlimited ammo laser guns in their arms? And I'm just supposed to believe that people are just not doing that? Like, imagine if this series were well written, had anything to say about anything, and showed us some fucking minions of one of these bad guys who have all been forced to get these laser guns in their arms by somebody who's not very good at the fucking surgery. So the guns have fucked up their arms. Like, maybe they can't use their hands as well. Maybe using the fucking gun is fucking agony because you're literally removing part of their arm every time they want to fire it. But no, that would require that would require a conversation to be happening. Instead, we are literally just supposed to turn our brains off and not think about anything and just absorb the vibes that Martha Wells wants us to absorb, which is the idea that slave owners are awesome and should always be protected no matter what. I literally just made a post today that says, yeah, the most basic proof that there is slavery apologism in the series is that 99% of the fandom will not admit that the Preservation Aux team are slave owners, and if they do admit that, then they'll insist that they're nice and good slave owners, which is pretty much the same thing as not being slave owners at all. Want to check the timestamps and see how long it took that person to ask? And then I immediately had somebody unironically ask, when did Preservation Aux own slaves? I'm not looking for an argument. I would just like some textual evidence of the slave owners being slave owners. Like that wasn't the entire plot of book 1 and explicitly brought up multiple times throughout the series. And like, yeah, that's literally the proof that the slavery apologism is working, because Martha Wells does tell us multiple times that they are literally Murderbot slave owners, but also she doesn't want us to think bad of them, which are two irreconcilable fucking things. You can't be a good person and a slave owner. And this is why everybody has, again, This is why everybody reading the series who has a problem with slaves being murdered has to tell themselves it's okay because the other slaves, they're not people. The governor module suppresses their mind entirely, so they're just mindless killing machines. That's why it's fine for Murderbot and the characters to continue fucking slaughtering them. Ronnie, stop it. That box is too small for you. Hey. Come on. Look, you can sit in it like this. Weirdo. What was I saying?
Suppresses their mind.
Yeah, people literally have to convince themselves that the governor modules that all the other slaves have is suppressing their mind to the point that they're literally not people, which is why it's totally fine for Murderbot and the other protagonists to slaughter every single other slave we've met, pretty much, and why it's okay for Martha Wells to expect us to cheer this on and think that the characters doing this are good people that we should cheer on, because they understand that the author wants me to think this is a good person, character is a good person, and also this character goes around murdering slaves on purpose, viciously. They know that those are two contradictory, what's the word? 2 words.
What's the sentence?
These things are mutually exclusive. These are mutually exclusive concepts. Either the characters are good people who have morals, or the characters are people who willfully go out of their way to viciously murder and torture other slaves to death out of malicious spite. Those are incompatible statements. So most of the people who notice that and have a fucking problem with it have to convince themselves that it's fine, because the other slaves aren't people unless you free them. So it's totally fine to kill them. And Martha Wells sees people saying this, and then she gets pissed off and pretends that you are a bad person for saying, and you're willfully ignorant or whatever, for saying that the other slaves must not be people. And it's like, okay, so you are literally asking your audience to be okay with murdering and torturing slaves to death while protecting slave owners at every cost. And you expect us to see that as positive. And you are dodging the way out that people are giving you to insist that, yes, we have to be okay with killing slaves. Yes, they're fully interiorized people. But you want us to be okay with them being murdered and tortured to death by people who worship slave owners anyways. You're making yourself look worse. Anyways, yeah, let's fucking continue. Just this bullshit. Humans can miss a lot of little clues, but me being able to fire energy weapons from my arms would be something of a red flag. Why would it be, though? I gotta click in 5 seconds to upload the next video to the Internet Archive. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Talisi is already down to commit murder. Why would she not be down? And why wouldn't everybody else on this clearly criminally run station who doesn't give a fuck about laws? Why would these people not be fine with having guns in your arms? Most of these people should be running around with guns in their arms. It's fucking ridiculous to pretend that nobody would ever do this. But it's all just because of Martha Wells' ableism. She cannot fucking imagine that anybody would willingly do anything to taint their pure human pureness of real, capital R, humanity, trademark symbol. That's why. She literally read Ancillary Justice and was inspired to write this fucking bullshit. Because she took the line where the character says, yeah, the evil fucking space empire considers people who have fucking prosthetics to not be human, and Martha Wells took that as, yeah, you agree with me that people with prosthetics aren't human. Even though it's the fucking space colonizers, space Nazis that are the ones saying that shit. She literally agrees with them. And she also wants us to agree with the in-universe slave owners in the books she's writing. Because in an interview, she literally admits that the fucking Murderbot and the other sec units, they literally are human. And they are being dehumanized to justify enslaving them. And then she literally admits that. And then immediately follows up by trying to backtrack by literally dehumanizing them and saying, maybe the enslaved people aren't human because they're physically disabled, because they were forcibly fucking mutilated.
And because they can't have
presumably cannot have biological children, so that makes them less than human. And it's like, it's all just ableism, slavery apologism,
eugenics.
So much eugenics bullshit all the way down. Yeah, the fact that we're just supposed to accept without question, nobody in this world would ever put laser guns that never fail and have unlimited ammo in their arms willingly, and it's unheard of. Nobody ever does that except for the enslaved people. You're just a shit writer and you don't understand anything and have no fucking creativity or imagination. That's just fucking ridiculous. And, like, this had to have gone through, supposedly, multiple editors. So why did nobody point this out to her? It's just fucking ridiculous. Blah, blah, blah. Something of a red flag. I diverted just enough attention to scan the security camera feeds for whatever it was that had pinged me. It's really taken a long time on this loading page. That was like 3 minutes ago. I caught an image on a camera across the public area, near one of the entrance tunnels. The figure standing near the edge of the seating area didn't match what I was expecting to see, and I had to review it again before I understood. So what happened to immediately... Martha... We're on page 89 for the record. It was just on page 87 we were told that sec units instantly magically recognize each other, despite Murderbot getting a surgery not to do that. Are you ready for this?
What page was that mentioned?
That was page 87. We're now on page 89. Are you ready?
I am prepared.
The figure standing near the edge of the seating area didn't match what I was expecting to see, and I had to review it again before I understood. It wasn't wearing armor, and its physical configuration didn't match seg unit standard. Which we still haven't been told what that is, by the way. So
Murderbot went through all this literal torture that it would rather have died. And we now come across one that's just...
After we've been told that other sec units can still magically tell what it is, but now we're even contradicting that basic statement right there to say Murderbot also literally can't instantly recognize this other slave because it's not sec unit standard. Even though we just said that even though Murderbot is no longer sec unit standard, any other sec unit can still magically instantly recognize it. Mm-hmm. For 5 seconds of drama. She literally can't keep anything straight for even 2 fucking pages.
I instantly recognized it, even though it wasn't sec unit standard, because of the innate fucking subdermal chips or whatever that
magical force bond thing that they've all got going. Apparently, what are the fucking midichlorians?
Yeah.
What does this button do? What does it do when you switch it down? Does it just make the light flash? It says Bluetooth. So how is that different from just being on?
5.2 mouse. Maybe it's a more advanced version of Bluetooth for people who have really, really fast computers.
Okay, well I'm trying to turn the mouse off. Yeah, so we literally just on page 87, Martha Wells went out of her way to tell us, oh, by the way, sec units can instantly recognize Murderbot despite it not being sec unit standard. And now it's seeing another slave who's not sec unit standard and cannot instantly recognize it. Why did she tell us that then? Why did she just say that shit 2 pages ago? She literally couldn't be consistent if the concept of fucking consistency took on human form and punched her in the fucking face. Oh my god. It wasn't the The figure standing near the edge of the seating area didn't match what I was expecting to see, and I had to review it again before I understood. It wasn't wearing armor, and its physical configuration didn't match Sec Unit standard. It had a lot of hair, silver with blue and purple on the ends, pulled back and braided like tapans, but in a much more complicated pattern. Its facial features were different from mine, but all units' features are different, assigned randomly based on the human cloned material that's used to make our organic parts. Then, how are other Sec units able to magically look at Murderbot and magically tell that it's a Sec unit despite it getting a surgery and getting hair extensions and shit and eyebrows to what? How did this get published? Besides, who edited it? Let's fucking find out. I bet it's Lee Harris, who can't fucking...
Who's won awards for editing.
Yeah, edited by Lee Harris. Lee Harris, who also supposedly edited Rapport, which very clearly was not looked at by anybody but Martha Wells. And if it was, is Lee Harris just another pseudonym? Like,
no, he's apparently an award-winning editor.
Apparently Lee Harris has won awards for editing, despite not only this book and the first book existing, where we literally have an entire conversation that makes zero fucking sense because Martha Wells contradicts herself 5 times within 3 pages. Rapport, friendship, solidarity, communion, empathy, whatever the fuck the stupid fanfiction title is. There's literally so many blatant typos and fucking misspellings and wrong fucking punctuation in that, and that's also claiming to have been edited by Lee Harris. It's facial, so apparently all Sec units look different from one another. Then how would the other hypothetical Sec units magically recognize Murderbot as a Sec unit if they don't all look the same, and it doesn't match Sec unit standard, and it has fucking hair and eyebrows, and it's running a program to make it act like an autistic human as though it's not already an autistic human, or just, basic neurodivergent human, because not all humans act the fucking same and emote the same. But, Martha Wells is fucking ableist, and we're supposed to pretend that the idea of humans with, just even PTSD or autism, ADHD, literally any number of things, we don't exist. We just don't exist. It's impossible to imagine humans who act different from neurotypicals. But, ableism. So literally, we're literally told on page 87, Sec units would magically be able to look at me and tell I'm a Sec unit despite me getting a torturous surgery, literally being tortured to prevent that from happening. But now also, because this fucking other slave is not Sec unit standard, Murderbot can't instantly recognize them as another slave. Make it make sense. It's so fucking ridiculous. Its arms were bare, and there was no metal showing and no gun ports. This was not a Sec unit. I was looking at a sex bot. And ignoring for 5 seconds the blatant hatred of fucking sex trafficking victims and sex workers. What do you mean there's no metal showing and no gun ports? What does that even fucking mean? Because again, we've never been given a proper description of what makes somebody a Sec unit. We don't know what fucking percentage of Murderbot's body is cybernetic and what is organic. This is ridiculous.
We didn't even know that Murderbot has metal on its arms.
Until we're told somebody else doesn't?
Yep.
Yeah. And again, Murderbot disparaging sex slaves as sex bots, simultaneously just dehumanizing them. And then at the end of this book, it starts calling them by a fucking euphemism that makes it sound like they're not victims in any way, and just cutesy little name. And Martha Wells wants us to think that that's an improvement. That's not a fucking improvement. Now you're just hiding. First, we are victim blaming them by calling them and dehumanizing them, and victim blaming them by calling them sex bots, implying that this is a thing they're choosing because it's what they're for.
And it's bad for them
to choose it, and we should hate them and think they're disgusting. And then the end thing is, oh, actually, we're just going to call them by this cutesy little name and pretend like they're not victims of rape or sex trafficking or anything. Because we're going to give what the fucking torture they're going through, the horrors that they're going through, we're going to give it a cutesy little name. They're comfort units now. That's not progressive. That's just fucking horrifying and horrific. And as I've said multiple times, I'm pretty sure the fucking reason they will never come up ever again in this entire goddamn series. Not once. And I'm pretty sure, unless they do in shitification, also known as platform decay. Literally a synonym. The original word for shitification. I'm pretty fucking sure somebody had to sit Martha Wells down and tell her, you cannot keep doing this shit. You cannot keep fucking demonizing and dehumanizing victims of sex trafficking like this. Do not ever fucking say that shit again. Because they've never come up since. I was looking at a sex bot. Are you ready for the confirmation from your thing? This is just prose. Murderbot's not saying in dialogue, that's a sex bot. It's just, I was looking at a sex bot. That is not the official designation, Art said. Murderbot hasn't said anything out loud. It hasn't said anything on the feed. It's literally just thinking. And Art is just reading its fucking mind.
Art is responding to the narrative
prose. Art is literally responding to Murderbot's unconscious fucking thoughts. Not something Murderbot has said out loud. Not something Murderbot has said on the feed. Art is just fucking reading Murderbot's mind right now. Yeah, you're welcome. You're literally fucking correct. The official, and then this is again just more prose. The official designation is comfort unit, but everybody knows what that means. And again, that's what Martha Wells is going to pretend is a reward for the victims of sex slavery at the end of this series. Being given a fucking euphemism that everybody knows what it means. But it sounds cutesy. So apparently that makes it complimentary. Sex bots aren't allowed to walk around in human areas without orders, any more than murder bots. Someone must have sent it here. Art poked me hard enough to make me twitch. I snapped out of it and ran my recording back a little to catch up on what was happening. My phone was making random staticky lines. Talisi had stepped forward. And just why do you need a security consultant? And again, with the whole Martha Wells keeps conveniently giving her characters telepathy and all this bullshit so that she never has to actually limit her characters and what they can do and what they can say to each other in certain situations or have any kind of strategy. Murderbot can literally just rewind the fucking camera feed.
Time as far as everything else, everybody
literally.
Else is concerned.
As far as everybody else is concerned, Murderbot can just fucking rewind time because it can magically watch video in like 5 minutes of video in 2 seconds flat, even though that's not how that works. So that there's no actual strategy or even in the writing of the scene, let alone in the scene itself. Murderbot doesn't have to pay for any mistakes like getting distracted and fucking up. No, it everything gets handed to it, including it literally doesn't have to pay attention to what's going on because it can just rewind its fucking constant surveillance state bullshit that it is constantly doing that Martha Wells wants us to think is cool. Once again, semi-video reminder that Martha Wells literally throughout this series wants us to think that if you don't want to be spied on and recorded by cameras and microphones wherever you go, if you don't want to be spied on by Amazon Alexa, that means you're mean to the poor autistic robots and you're racist against robots. But not in any of the racist against robots ways that actually matter, like enslaving them and thinking that they aren't human, even though they're literally not robots and they're literally humans. No, the thing that's bad about being mean to robots is that you should let them spy on you and record your every conversation, including in the privacy of your own bedroom in your own fucking home. Including literally, And if you don't let Murderbot do that, then you're mean to Murderbot, and you should feel bad. It's literally just fucking propaganda for the surveillance state, despite Book 1 pretending to think that that's bad.
Watch your face, I don't know.
Talisi had stepped forward, and just why do you need a security consultant? Literally, Murderbot doesn't even have to pause whatsoever and miss any part of this conversation. It's such bullshit. What? Okay, it gets worse. Have you been paying attention?
No. I heard that last part, but anything else leading up to that. Imagine a Murderbot just got stuck after Kip keeps rewinding its feed, and then just gets stuck experiencing everything on a delay.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Think that would
Extra
actually be
fan
interesting?
fiction people.
Uh-huh. Okay, so that whole thing of Murderbot can rewind time. Okay. Talisi had stepped... I ran my recording back a little to catch up on what was happening. Talisi had stepped forward. And just why do you need a security consultant? Are you ready? Rami took a breath. I hit Tur feed, secured a private connection between Tur, Tapan, and Morrow, and told her, don't answer that. Don't mention the attempt on the shuttle. Just stick to business. Meaning, it's been like 5 seconds in the conversation, apparently. Literally just in the span between, who the fuck are you? And this is our security consultant. And Talisi saying, and why do you need a security consultant? That's the amount of time that's apparently passed.
So, how many paragraphs of internal narration and shit is that? How many pages is it between the start of the conversation?
This is our security consultant. That line is right here. It's all of this. And all of this. To right here.
Okay.
Right here is where Art poked me so hard I twitched.
See, this is a fan fiction. This is a first draft issue that a lot of fan fictions have.
This is an issue
It's a beginner's
new
issue.
fan fiction writers have. But she's been writing since the fucking 90s. I hit Tur feed, secured a private connection between Tur, Tapan, and Morrow, as though it didn't already have that. But we're just
Wait, hold on. Did it say Rami's name before saying Tur? Or
Yes.
only referring to
Rami
as
took a breath.
pronouns?
I hit Tur feed, blah blah blah.
Okay. Because, like, for a moment there, I thought that Martha Wells was exclusively referring to Rami with two pronouns.
Nope.
To, like, show off.
Nope.
being a musician.
Nope.
Hi.
And told Tur, don't answer that. Don't mention the attempt on the shuttle. Just stick to business. It was an impulse. Talisi had come here expecting an angry confrontation. That was why she had brought armed bodyguards. We had an advantage now. We weren't dead, and they were off balance, and we wanted to keep them that way. Even though we got told Murderbot doesn't know anything about any of this, and it's just making it all up as it goes along, but somehow it can figure this out. Even though that doesn't work, because these people are hardened criminals who know what they're doing, and these are random fucking rich researchers who probably also don't even grasp the concept of hanging up your laundry to dry.
I mean, they were literally doing this shit in their downtime.
No, they were getting paid for it. Not even on their downtime. They got paid to do this shit.
Okay.
Rami let the breath out, tapped my feet in acknowledgement, then said, "We're here to talk about our files." Morrow, who had realized what I was trying to do, told Rami, "Keep going. Don't even let them sit down." Sounding more confident, Rami continued, "Deleting our personal work was not part of our employment contract, but we'll agree to your proposal that we return our signing bonus in exchange for our files." On the security cameras, I watched the sex bot turn and leave the public area via the tunnel directly behind it. Talisi said, "The entire bonus?" She clearly hadn't expected them to agree. Morrow leaned, and again, like saying, "She clearly? That's fine." Because that's saying an observable fucking thing about her behavior instead of mind reading her. Most of the other times, Martha Wells is just having the characters magically start fucking mind reading and saying shit they have no fucking reason to be saying. And then they're always magically right anyways.
Head hopping.
Yeah, that's what I mean, mind reading.
I mean, that's the official literary term to describe that writing.
Okay,
It's
I
head
don't.
hopping.
I'm calling it mind reading anyways. Mara leaned forward. We opened an account with Umro to hold the funds. We can transfer it to you as soon as you give us the files. Talisi's jaw moved as she spoke in her private feed. The two bodyguards eased back. Talisi stepped over and took a chair at my client's table. After a moment, Rami sat down, and Tapan and Mara followed suit. So whatever happened to don't even let them sit down and keep them off balance. We're just giving control of the situation right back, after pretending to be so clever and claiming we have control of the situation.
So much so that they stated it out loud.
Literally stated it out loud. Don't even let them sit down. And now they're sitting down, and you're following suit. So there goes any attempts at pretending to be a political drama and scheming and bullshit. I kept part of my attention on the negotiation and went back to the public feed. I started pulling historical data, looking for any irregular activity around the time of my contract here. Mr. Lupin, you have toys to play with. You don't need to bother him. He's just chasing Mr. Curious because he wants to play with his tail. Look, dude. Looky. You got a little toy. Come here. Play with the toy. Ooh, Mr. Eclipse is going to get it from you. Get it. Get that cupcake with a feather. Why is it a cupcake? I thought it was a weird mouse with a tutu, but it's a cupcake.
I love it.
Huh. Which part?
Twisty tie.
Where?
Where the ribbons broke off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we literally made such a big deal about, oh, we're so in control of the situation, there's drama, and then give that up. Literally at the top of this page, sounding more confident, Rami said blah blah blah. This isn't a negotiation. And it's just, why do we pretend we're doing that kind of thing and then immediately drop it on the very next page and hand control of the conversation back over to these people? And then not one person here has anything to say about that. Like, oh, well, at least we tried. Nothing. Murderbot's not even paying attention anymore. You know, if the main character can't even be bothered to give a shit about the plot that's happening, maybe that's a sign that it's a bad fucking plot and you should throw it in the garbage. While my clients, and again, you must always read the word clients as slave owners because that's what it means. Explicitly, that's what it means. While my slave owners were talking, and while I sorted through the data with Art peering over my shoulder again, I was watching the security cameras. So we're pretending that Murderbot is just doing all of these things at once, even though we were just told less than a page ago that it can't even multitask enough to the point of fucking looking at somebody through the security cameras and pay attention to the conversation at the same time. That was literally over here. And now over here we're pretending it can actually do 5 things at once. Because Martha Wells is shit at writing and doesn't actually want to limit the characters because that would require having to come up with creative solutions to get them out of situations that they get into. But nope, instead they can just do anything they want. I was watching the security cameras. I noted 2 more potential threats enter the area. Both were augmented humans. I had noted 3 potential threats already sitting at adjacent tables. In parentheses. All 3 exhibited a curious lack of attention toward the confrontation occurring near the center of the seating area. The other humans and augmented humans in the immediate area had watched it with open or surreptitious curiosity. End parentheses. At least that parentheses ends. So many things to say here. It's like now we're being told long after the fact that, oh, some people are watching them, but nobody's actually responding correctly to what is very clearly a fight that was about to break out in violence. Nobody responded. Oh, now they're just watching with open or surreptitious curiosity instead of immediately calling all of their fucking bodyguards. Because remember, we were told that people come here to do business meetings for rich fucking fancy people. Because again, remember, this is supposed to be a capitalist dystopia. There's no such thing as mom and pop stores. The only people doing business are rich fuckers. There's no mom and pop business meetings. It's all rich people. Art poked me. I see it, I told it. The search had turned up a series of notices posted around the right time frame. There were warnings that changes in shipments of raw materials and supplies to outlying installations would cause diversions in the passenger tube routes. In parentheses, the tube was a small-scale transit system that took passengers around the port and service centers and had private lines going out to the closer mining installations. End parentheses. Later notices mentioned a new route that had been constructed to compensate for the diversion. That was it. Reading between the lines, you could see that the service contractors had to build a new tube route to bypass the tunnels that had led to a mining installation that had abruptly closed. That had to be the site of Ganaka Pit. But I thought we weren't trying to erase this from the population's memory, just hide it from casual reporters. So why are we building an entire new fucking train system and digging an entire new tunnel? Literally extremely expensive. It's going to require so many fucking resources. So first of all, they're not concerned enough about this shit to actually do a cover-up properly, but they simultaneously are concerned enough about it to spend all the ridiculous amounts of money to build an entire new tunnel and train system instead of, like, there's no reason for this. It's not like there was some kind of goddamn fucking irrecoverable radiation contamination or a plague outbreak or anything. There's no reason for this. This doesn't make any sense. This could make sense, like, if the fucking thing that caused all the shit was the alien remnants, the fucking xenomorph goop, and just fucking everything up irreparably. But in that case, if it's dramatic enough that you need to build an entire new fucking, you need to dig an entire tunnel, build an entire new train track, and get trains running on that track. Hello. Don't sneeze on my phone, okay? You gonna lay down with your cute little soft fur? Thank you. This is Polychrome. She's probably gonna sneeze on my face. Please don't. You're so pretty and your fur's so
Imagine
soft.
if the Murderbot Diaries were actually told in like a diary format,
Uh-huh.
and all of these parenthetical asides were like literal footnotes at the bottom of the page added in for
Or in the
context
margins.
by-
You could literally even put it in the, you just fucking handwrite it and write this shit and print it like that. So somehow the incident was not dramatic enough to actually do anything to hide it. We're not going to pay people to stay quiet or anything. You could just walk up to literally anybody who's been here long enough and ask them, and they'd be able to freely tell you. Because we're not trying to hide it. Just make
the
it.
good old company.
Yeah.
The good company would never try to hide it.
Yeah, the company would never try to hide it. They're just trying to hide it from casual reporters. Even though casual reporters interview people, they don't.
Saying the tabloids.
Literally, they don't. Casual reporters just ask people basic questions instead of doing all spy hackery shit and all this bullshit. But also, it is enough that they're going to dig an entire new tunnel, which requires so much raw material and so much fucking labor and so many fucking materials to be brought in and technology to build new train tracks and put a whole new train line in instead of just using the existing one. As again, before I got distracted by the cat. There's no reason for this. Sorry for spoilers if you haven't read these books before. I'm gonna give you some spoilers. I'll just hold my hand like this. You can mute the video, and you can unmute it when I put my hand down if you don't want spoilers. Sucks for you if you're reading the transcript. I don't know what to tell you. There's nothing in the Ganaka pit. Despite the dramatic theme, there's nothing in there that is in any way dramatic. Like, there's no demon plague that's been unleashed. There's no computer virus still jumping between all the fucking computers and only desperately trapped there by somebody unplugging the Wi-Fi or something. There's no plague, there's no radiation, there's nothing down there for anything that needs to be covered up in any way. There's no reason for this whatsoever. Like, this isn't even the kind of thing that would require a cover-up. It fundamentally doesn't make sense for it to be trying to cover this shit up. The spoilers is some other company tried to sabotage the company that owned Murderbot at the time, and then their sabotage turned into a massacre, apparently by accident, because Martha Wells is, again, doing corporate propaganda and trying to pretend like corporations never do evil things on purpose. So, why would the company who was sabotaged to the point of a massacre want to cover up the fact that the other company did this shit to them and caused a fucking massacre that they had no hand in? That's the exact opposite of a thing you would want to cover up. You would want that to be as public as fucking possible to get their fucking people arrested for whatever, since we're pretending you all follow the same laws. Anyways, you can uncover or unmute it now. Yeah. This is just so contradictory. It's secret enough of a cover-up. We gotta dig an entire new train tunnel instead of using the existing trains, even though this is supposed to be a capitalist dystopia. The thing capitalists care about is profit. This doesn't make sense.
In an actual capitalist dystopia, it would be a dangerous, strange
Literally.
synthetic that's putting off radiation
Literally.
that kills people over time,
If-
and they're still sending their workers through there because that's the cheapest option, and their workers are infinitely replaceable and cheap.
Yeah, like the Radium Girls? Yeah, if this were actually a capitalist dystopia, in case none of that was audible, if this were actually a capitalist dystopia, it would be deadly radiation or xenomorph goop that's just constantly flying out of that tunnel, and they keep the train going through anyways because they don't give a shit about their workers. But it's not a capitalist dystopia, so they're just throwing endless money at the problem, enough to build an entirely brand new tunnel and train system for no reason, even though they have a perfectly functioning one right there. Blah blah. Reading between the lines, you could see that the service contractors had to build a new tube route to bypass the tunnels that had led to a mining installation that had abruptly closed. That had to be the site of Ganaka Pit. Other pit closures had been accompanied by local interest articles and excessive social feed interest in bankruptcy filings and the effect... You sound so weird. And the effect on the associated service companies. There was nothing like that about this closure. Someone had paid to have those postings deleted from the public feed. So we're saying that people were posting this shit on Space Facebook. And all of their posts got deleted. But then we're still pretending that nobody else on the station has noticed any of this. Like this wouldn't cause the most massive uproar imaginable for you deleting people's Space Facebook posts about a mine closing after a massacre. What? They wouldn't be trying to erase it from the general population's memory, but you're also deleting their Space Facebook posts about it? From literally only 4 years ago? A massacre? That most of these people probably had friends and family who were fucking massacred in? And you deleted their posts about the massacre from their Space Facebook? And we're supposed to believe this isn't causing any problems, there's no backlash, and they're explicitly not paying people not to care about it? Not even, there was a notice for an extra Alf Station transit ships. A whole bunch of people from the lower mining classes had been suddenly offered lucrative jobs on the sister station or whatever, a station several solar systems away. You know, getting rid of the witnesses, paying off the witnesses, giving them all fucking paid vacations to some slightly nicer place. Nothing. So there was a massacre only 4 years ago. People's Facebook posts about it were all mysteriously deleted. Martha Wells
People
is
who
so
were
bad.
Freshmen in high school would only be graduating high school by the end of this time period. There could be literal children.
You can say that louder, just for...
To put that into perspective, if there were kids on this station, because child labor in capitalist dystopia, you would expect there to be commentary on child labor. The equivalent of high school freshmen when this massacre happened would only be seniors in high school, graduating high school.
Literally.
By this time period.
4 years.
How long the time is.
4 years. 4 years between a massacre. So, like, nothing... Again, if it falls apart the second you think about it, it's badly written. Can you just scoot over just a little bit so I can put my arm down? Just scoot a little bit. Thank you. Want to look at the camera? Let's look this way. Hey, Miss Softfur. She's not gonna look at the camera. Now she is. Look at that face. Her poor stuffy nose. She's staring at the camera now intently. Alright. Excuse me. Yeah. There was nothing like that about this closure. Someone had paid to have those postings deleted from the public feed, meaning everybody had their Facebook and Tumblr and Twitter and Blue Sky things, whatever, all the other social media sites. They had their MySpace. I don't know if you post on MySpace like that. They had their MySpace posts about the massacre deleted. All of them got deleted. Presumably also including the post saying, hey, did anybody else notice all of their posts about the fucking massacre got deleted? Apparently those also get deleted. And so on and so forth. Hey, I keep trying to post about my posts about the massacre being deleted, and they keep getting deleted. Now imagine if this were a sci-fi dystopia that were competently written by, I meant a dystopia, not a sci-fi. Sci-fi dystopia written by somebody who actually gives a fuck and has something to say. And the effect of this shit going here, where your posts about the massacre get deleted, you know what you would start doing? People would start talking in code. They would just come up with a fucking code to discuss this shit that would avoid the fucking automatic filters that are deleting their posts explicitly talking about the massacre. But that doesn't happen, because Martha Wells is bad at writing, isn't actually writing a dystopia, because she doesn't actually have anything to criticize, and doesn't understand how this shit works in any way. Just because you delete, like, so fucking ridiculous. Deleting social media posts about a massacre doesn't mean people don't know about the massacre, especially when it was a huge fucking thing that only happened 4 years ago, and presumably all the people are still here because there's no mentions of everybody being shipped off en masse to multiple things or, executed. Since it's apparently such a big secret, they're going to invest in all the money to build a new fucking subway system. Someone had paid to have those postings deleted from the public feed. The conversation was concluding. Talasi stood up, nodded to my clients, so we're not rewinding this time though, because Martha Wells herself got tired of that bullshit. Talasi stood up, nodded to my slave owners, my clients, and walked away from the table. Rami's expression was a grimace of doubt. Mara looked grim, and to Pan somewhere between confused and angry. Do you happen to have that quote on hand?
What?
With all the 17 characters?
The Rex Zero one?
Yes.
That was literally from somebody's Goodreads review, so I don't think I do.
Darn. This time there's only 3 characters being mentioned. Are you looking for it?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know any other names.
Might have a.
That's
I
the
think
issue.
Belle was mentioned there.
Oh, okay, found it.
Okay. Just read loudly.
Florey jerked her head at
Hold on,
Coyle.
wait. Let me give you an introduction. So let me read this short little thing here quick. We're just going the anime roundtable, as we're calling it, of every single character's reaction to the thing that just happened. Rami's expression was a grimace of doubt. Mara looked grim, and Tapan somewhere between confused and angry. Okay. This is Martha Wells does this all the fucking time, no matter how many characters there are, and no matter whether or not their reaction even remotely makes fucking sense. See System Collapse. Now are you ready? Go!
I'll let you read it in a second. I'm going to put it over on TV.
Okay. Never mind, I'm going to be reading it. It's going on the other screen. Your poor little stuffy nose.
It's all originally one paragraph. I'm
Oh my
separating
God.
each action into its own.
What I'm about to read is all originally one paragraph. They're being nice enough to separate it so I can actually fucking read it.
And the number of names is highlighted.
Okay. Here's a single fucking paragraph where this shit happens in Martha Wells' other series, The Books of the Raxura, and no, of these names, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the names we're about to read are actual characters. The rest is just bullshit. Oh my god. Are you ready? Fleurette jerked her head at Coyle, who leapt to fetch the map and carry it to Zephyr. Frost saw Vine take a deep breath and lean against Sage, who shook his head incredulously. Hart rubbed her face and reached for the forgotten pot to refill the Arbora's cups. Belle gave Frost a one-armed hug, and she had to fight down the impulse to climb into his lap. If she did that, Pearl would never think she was old enough to attend a meeting again, not until Frost was older than Jade. Celadon watched Malachite carefully, and after a moment, Malachite picked up the teacup and drank. How many names are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 names there. Only 4 of them are characters, and one of those is a fucking background character. Frost is a background character. Pearl is a minor character. Jade is a major character. Malachite, I don't know. She's kind of a side character. She doesn't really do much, but she's there. Fleurette, Coyle, Zephyr, Vine, Sage, Hart, Belle, and Celadon, they're cardboard cutouts. They're meaningless. You could interchange all of those names, and it would be just as fucking meaningless. Oh my god.
Person who included this exact quote from the book in their review said, "Fun series overall, but I'm completely overwhelmed by the now ever-expanding list of named characters, all of whom belong to various factions that are impossible to keep straight. I would be shocked if there were fewer than 100 names in just the 50% of this book that I managed to read.
Uh-huh.
It is too much. No one has space to change or grow because we're completely bloated with secondary/tertiary/quaternary characters that do not need to be mentioned."
Yep. You can send me that link, and I'll just put it a link to that review in.
I don't think I posted an actual, but you can just search
Belle or Fleurette, because nobody else is going to mention Fleurette in their review because she's not a fucking character.
Yep.
You know, when animes like Bleach do that kind of thing, it's because they have to desperately pad the runtime, because there's only so much of the manga that's already written that they have to try and keep pace with, and also, they're animating. That's much more fucking difficult and time-consuming than writing.
Also, I actually know most and recognize and can tell you the powers and or backstory and personalities
Yeah.
of most of the Bleach
Yeah.
characters.
The characters in Bleach, cardboard at least. I mean, I could probably recognize them. We can just play a game at some point. You can just pick a bunch of Bleach characters and I'll say if I know who the fuck they are. Bleach has 50 million characters. I don't care about 90% of them, but I will say, they at least stand out and are distinct fucking characters, not only in their personalities, but their actual designs. Anyways, yeah, that ridiculousness.
How many characters? 1, 2.
I can't really count it, though. Well, we can't really show that. What did you search to find that?
Bleach character lineup.
Just Google search Bleach character lineup, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Did somebody edit that together? Because I don't think that's official. But that's a very good edit. Except for Mr. Bat, he just kind of looks awkward. But I guess he's kind of always awkward.
They put
Yoruichi! And they put in all those shadows. That's a very... Whoever edited this, assuming it's not official, is very talented.
It's from someone named Sino in 2010.
Cino from 2010. You're very talented at Photoshop. Anyways.
There's like 100 people.
There's how many? You can just put it in MS Paint and just draw numbers over their faces to count them. Bless you. Or just do colored dots in groups of 20 and then count by 20s. Yeah. So we've just been told, and also, we just had all of the 3 random generic humans who are completely interchangeable and mean nothing to the story. They all just had their little reactions to whatever just happened, because Murderbot is not rewinding, even though it just did that. So you would think we would keep doing that and at least be consistent with that, but nope. Nope. Alright, little baby, I gotta move you because I need to be able to move my elbow right where you are sitting. So come here. Come here, I'm not gonna drop you. Can I give her to you?
Sure. Hi.
There you go. So they all just reacted. But none of these characters have ever come up again in the series. They've never appeared ever again from this book. And also, they're all completely interchangeable. They have no personalities. They bring nothing to the story. There's no reason for there to be 3 goddamn characters here. Morrow is so unmentioned that I don't even remember who that is 90% of the time while I'm actively reading it. I closed the search and stepped over to the table. Watching Talasi and her bodyguards leave, Rami said, "It was a bad idea to come here." Tapan protested. "She said tomorrow, ... Morrow shook her head. "It's more lies. She isn't going to give us the files. She could have done it here if she was going to do it. She could have done it over the comm while we were on the transit ring." She looked up at me. "I wasn't sure I believed you about the shuttle, but now ... Hi, Tess. I was keeping track of my potential threat list on the security cameras. "We need to go," I told them. "We'll talk about this somewhere else." As we left, one potential threat got up to follow us. I tapped Art to keep an eye on the others, just in case they weren't innocent bystanders so deep in their feeds they really hadn't noticed anything. I had marked a few possible routes on the station map, and my favorite one was, "This doesn't make any fucking sense at all. I'm warning you ahead of time. What's about to happen doesn't fucking make any goddamn sense. It doesn't make any sense. This is so ridiculous. Like, this just so, it doesn't make sense." How many are you at so far? I'll just wait.
There's 43 characters on this thing.
Uh-huh.
And I might not know all of their exact names, but I do know
Who they are.
I do know who they are. 43 people.
There's 43 people in the bleached lineup image that we found that's by Cino, C-I-N-O, made in 2010. Very well edited together. Cardboard says, "Probably can't remember all of their names, but does know who they are in general." A thing that cannot be said about most Martha Wells characters, as few as 8 Martha Wells characters. Because we still don't know what Raffi's first name is. We don't know any of the Preservation Aux team's first names, let alone what their goddamn jobs are, besides Pin Lee is a lawyer. And Mensa was the president of the entire planet of slave owners. But we're not supposed to ever think about that or question that or question what the fuck her goddamn campaign platform was that she got elected on a planet of fucking slave owners. And then she quit. She didn't even get impeached. She quit.
As a correction, I do recognize every single person in this image.
Can you say all of their names?
I can't say all of their names with 100% complete confidence, but we have...
We're going to list off all of the names recognized from this Bleach character lineup just to show that you don't get to see.
Unless you Google it.
Yeah, you gotta Google it. Google Bleach character lineup Sino 2010. I don't know. To show the difference between having a bunch of characters who actually have fucking personalities and then meanwhile Martha Wells just slapping names on fucking pieces of cardboard in the background. All right.
If you want, you can walk up to the TV and
Let's try it. Try not to give you motion sickness. Alright.
you have to stand to the other side.
No, it's not going to work because I can't see. Alright, just use your imaginations or Google it.
We have Nell. We have literally just forgot her name, but she's short, she's angry. I think
she kicks people in the face.
She hits people in the face with a sandal.
That's 2.
And then we have, I think her name, no, she's not Love. She's super duper hyper. She's a cool little killer bee as a hollow. I love her crazy hair. She loves reading, or she's just like, in general, super crazy hip hop girl. Kenpachi, Yachiru.
I haven't counted, I'm not counting anymore, but continue,
Yeah.
just talk loud.
We have Kenpachi, we have Yachiru, Precious Zanpakuto secretly, which is apparently
the author hasn't figured that out yet.
Apparently not canon.
What
yet,
the fuck do you mean?
Somehow. I literally just forgot her name, but she's a cool shark lady who unfortunately is super sexualized. Everyone had cancer to be a lesbian.
Good for her. Rip to the...
Shinji, who is in a rivalry with short stuff, hot temper lady who she beats him over the head with a sandal a lot. I literally don't remember what this girl's name is, but she is canonically a lesbian, and she likes reading racy manga out in public when they're just hanging out in the warehouse when everybody else can see her. Ichimaru Gin, creepy fox smiley guy. Actual literal fox, or maybe wolf guy.
I think he's a fox, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I always thought he was like a werewolf, but I don't know what the explanation for that is. Captain Komamura, pretty sure that's his name. I know his name. Rangigu, this guy's name, I'm pretty sure is Love. He's the magic dude at the visor. I don't know what his hollow form looks like exactly, but I'm pretty sure he is Hat and Clogs' assistant's mentor. Or Hime.
I don't like that they put pink on his fucking mustache.
It's because his hair is pink. Or he dyed it.
It seems like they want to do the donut. Oh, his entire mustache is pink.
Yeah, everything's pink. He's got pink
okay, but it seems like they're trying to do the donut lips thing.
I would not be surprised. Because Japan has very. They do have a hollow random one-off Iron Car who's very
a gollywog.
Yeah. Orihime, Soifon. There's 1,000,001 ways to spell her name in English, and nobody can decide on how to spell it. Kisuke, Hat and Clogs is on here twice, I think, because he's also.
No, I didn't see him anywhere.
He's over here. Okay.
Oh, they cheated. They put the Sino. You cheated a little bit. You put Hat and Clogs twice.
We got Captain Hat and Clogs and Shopkeeper Hat and Clogs. Both are the same guy. They also put Yoriuchi twice, but I can understand that because she's a cute little cat. And then we have Hitsugaya, little Captain Kid with a big, giant, badass ice
You can just say their names or whatever. Or just a short version of their backstory.
Captain Aizen!
Again, story.
I don't think Momo is on here. Anyways, Captain Aizen is on here. Maybe this guy is the one that's named Love. Either way, he's a Vizard. He dresses up like the vampire Lestat. He's got old fashioned and long hair and shit.
I don't think he
Nell
is.
is on here a second time as well.
Yeah, they got they have 2 Hat and Clogs and 2 Nells.
And 2 Yoruichis.
And 2 Yoroichis.
We have...
Where's Yoroichi at? For the
Down
second time.
Over here is a kitty cat.
Yeah, where is she the first time? Oh, never mind, you highlighted her.
We're not
Okay,
gonna
never
say
mind,
it.
continue.
Captain with the unspecified lung disease that's most likely tuberculosis. whose
Ukitake.
name- Yeah, Ukitake. I couldn't remember which one it was.
I remember his fucking name.
Jushiro Ukitake and I just forgot your name. Sad drunk guy in the kimono, who's his bestie. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
had cans them to be in a relationship. Well, they're gay. Hisagi.
I don't know that
this is
guy.
Hisagi, or maybe this is Hisagi. One of these two is Hisagi. The guy with the gray hair has 69 tattooed on his cheek.
I thought he was bald.
That's Ikaku.
Well, I apparently don't know that. I thought he had black hair then. Why is his hair
I
gray?
don't know why his hair is gray in this.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's got gray, or he's got like black hair or really dark.
This is a really long tangent, but you're putting up with it because this is the difference between characters literally just existing to be fucking filler for the shitty book that's only a
Had
centimeter
the word
thick
count.
with all the stops pulled out to increase that page length versus characters who actually have personality and do shit, even if I can't stand most of them because I don't give a fuck. They still have personalities and stories.
And they play a role in the story, usually.
Even if I don't like
it's
it.
at least world building.
Yeah.
Ichigo, Renji, Yoruichi.
Yoroichi
Yoroichi
one
again.
time and then Yoroichi again.
This one's Ikaku.
Okay.
We have... I just forgot her name. Ichigo's cousin, who does fireworks and shit. She's got a prosthetic arm, I'm pretty sure. I might be misremembering that.
No, I think she does.
I cannot remember her name for the life of me at the moment, but I do know exactly who she is. She likes to beat people up if they are rude. Pretty boy. Ikaku's best friend, whose name I also am blanking on. This is literally just because the usual ADHD put on the spot for this. But I do know who Yumichika. I like him. He's mean to his Zanpakuto and calls them by the wrong name to hide his powers because he's insecure. Hat and Claws again. We have Uru and Jinta. The weird, unexplained kids that Urahara has adopted. There's some weird fan theories floating around that maybe they're Renji and Rukia's kids, maybe time traveling, or maybe.
I mean, what other explanation could there be for those
There's
hairstyles?
random, completely, as far as I'm aware, unsupported by canon except for their physical appearances. Theories that they're Rukia
Attempted
and Renji-
clones?
Attempted clones, or maybe Rukia and Renji's kids from the future somehow, some way. We have Grimjo, everybody's favorite bad boy. I thought he was like a big, strong hunk. He's a twink.
He's skinny as fuck.
He is lead like a kitty cat, so he's got that going for him at least. Ichigo's dad, who's
Sucks.
I forgot his name.
Worst dad of the year.
Creepy clown man. He's so creepy.
Okay, hurry up. I'm getting bored. There's too many characters.
Okay, let's stop for that. But I do recognize literally everybody on here. There's nobody here that's not familiar to me. I know their roles. Like, I even recognize Ishida's dad. He only shows up, like...
Oh, second worst dad of the year, I should
Yes.
say. Alright, they're in a tie. I think Ichigo's dad is slightly worse.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what...
Ryugen, at least, is the survivor of a genocide who doesn't want his son to also die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anyways. Yeah. 43 different characters, and they all actually have personalities. And then, meanwhile...
This isn't even scratching
This
the
isn't
surface.
this isn't even scratching the surface of the amount of characters in Bleach, and I don't care about most of them, but that's not because they're not characters. They're characters. There's even a whole filler arc where every single one of their Zanpakuto, which is their magic, I'm not explaining it, all of their swords, which are spirits and part of their soul and also people and have personalities of their own, come to life, and then they're also characters of themselves, and some of it's extremely fucking funny. And there's just so much going on. Anyways, meanwhile,
If you asked 100 different Murderbot fans
you can
to draw these characters,
ask 100. No, that's not even that, because none of the characters in this book have descriptions. Remember, we were just told the bare minimum of what these people's hairstyles apparently look like, but then they're never brought up again to remind us that that's what they look like. We don't know what Rathy looks like. We don't know what Garthen looks like. We don't know what anybody besides Mensa looks like. And all we were told about Mensa is that her hair is... She has dark skin and I think slightly lighter hair. And then some people draw her as the color of this cardboard, or paler than this cardboard, with blonde hair. Because that's why Martha Wells didn't describe the characters, for plausible deniability. Anyways, continuing. Yeah, what's about to happen just does not fucking make sense. It's so ridiculous.
You can just reread their anime roundtable after our tangent.
For the top of the page for the tangent. Blah blah blah, and walked away from the table. Rami's expression was a grimace of doubt. Morrow looked grim, and to Pan, somewhere between confused and angry. You know, I will say, somewhere between confused and angry, that's a fine description of a facial expression. That's totally fine. It's totally possible to be between confused and angry. What it's not possible is all of the fucking shit she says in Witch King. It's like unbelievable, indescribable. I can't even remember the examples because they're so fucking ridiculous. She'll just say, as though in between one complete extreme thing and some other completely different extreme thing, that it's literally not possible. It's so bad.
Terror and exasperation.
No, not even that. Just don't even.
No, I think that was one of them.
No, because that's not one of them. Because even just, it's so fucking terrible. And then she just keeps repeating the same expression somewhere between X and Y 50 million times. If I didn't know better, I would think it was written by fucking AI. But the truth is, she just writes a phrase and then she's like, oh, I gotta keep using it. That was good. Her eyes and ears were expanding as she entered the room. And that's meant to be metaphorical and not something going wrong with the gravity on the spaceship she's on. She used that shit twice. Or, you know, the character skidding the last few feet on their knees for no reason on a floor that's not supposed to be slippery, not light gravity, nothing to justify this fucking ridiculous visual that we're being told to imagine, and we're just supposed to take that seriously. Skidding several fucking feet on your knees. You're not walking, you have brush burns. But nope. Anyways, this is gonna be ridiculous. As we left, one potential threat got up to follow us. I tapped Art to keep an eye on the others, just in case they weren't innocent bystanders so deep in their feeds they really hadn't noticed anything. I had marked a few possible routes on the station map, and my favorite one was through a pedestrian tunnel that carved out away from the main living areas. You can probably find a quiz for how many Bleach characters can you recognize.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'm doing it.
There were various accesses along it leading to different tube stations, but it was not a popular route. I'll try to not interrupt this section so you can just see what ridiculousness I'm about to describe. I'll even restart this paragraph, okay? I won't interrupt. I'll attempt not to interrupt. Unless, you know, something happens that I have to. I had marked a few possible routes on the station map, and my favorite one was through a pedestrian tunnel that curved out away from the main living areas. How many questions are there? 1,000?
It's something called Ultimate Bleach Character Quiz.
Ultimate Bleach Character
Quiz.
Quiz.
And you name the characters from Bleach across all different mediums in 25 minutes. Oh,
well, you haven't read the manga, so that's not going to work.
Yeah, but it has a 266 score.
Okay.
Which is funny.
Anyways, I had marked a few possible routes on the station map, and my favorite one was through a pedestrian tunnel that curved out away from the main living areas. There were various accesses along it leading to different tube stations, but it was not a popular route. I tapped Rami's feed and told her to take it toward the interchange where the largest hotel was. Listening in, Morrow whispered, "We can't afford that one." Alright, I have to interrupt. Murderbot said this shit on the private feed that they all have access to, and Morrow is choosing to whisper out loud anyways. For some fucking reason, despite being the pessimistic one, and you're saying this shit out loud for you to be recorded. Murderbot responds on the feed, "You won't be staying there," I told them on the feed. The brochure on the public feed promised a high security lobby and a fast tube access to the main shuttle slots. We reached the tunnel and started down it. It was close to 10 meters wide and 4 meters high, well lit enough for walking down the center, but the sides were shadowy with darkened branching tunnels. Why? This whole place has enough money to dig a new fucking train tunnel on a whim, and presumably pay people not to keep protesting that their fucking space Facebook posts are getting deleted, but you also don't have good lighting in your fucking subway tunnels? Do they have money to throw away for no reason? Or are they cheap? Which is it? This doesn't make sense. What is 10 meters in feet? I can't remember. I'm getting yards and meters confused. I think they're both approximately... No, I think a meter's...
I think they're both around 3 feet.
Just check 10 meters.
It's 32 feet.
Okay, so slightly more than 3 feet.
1 meter is 3.28 feet.
1 meter is 3.2 feet. So, 30 feet wide, 4 meters high. So, like 12 feet high. 12 point whatever high. Well lit enough for walking down the center, but the sides were shadowy with darkened branching tunnels. Why would you not have lights at the doorways? This just doesn't make sense. Again, like, there's a reason, just even beyond OSHA, it's just basic common sense that you want to know where doors are. Especially if there's rich business people meeting over there. It's ridiculous. None of this makes sense in any way. There were and I said I wouldn't interrupt, but I just have to because it's so bad. There were security cameras, but the system monitoring them was not sophisticated. I guess describing security systems as sophisticated or not sophisticated is her new favorite way of describing them, because she keeps saying that. The system monitoring them was not sophisticated, and again, meaning anybody, even remotely, can hack this shit at any time. Not limited to Murderbot. Anybody could do this. The company would have shit itself over the possible danger to bonded clients and the missed opportunity to data mine conversations. Again, claiming that the company wants to protect its clients. We're just shilling for the fucking slave owners at every goddamn opportunity. There were other humans in the tunnel. Some miners in coveralls and jackets with logos from the various installations, but most were in civilian work clothes. So they're miners, but they're also in civilian work clothes. Are miners not civilians? What does that fucking mean? That's such a stupid and ridiculous distinction to make. Why is there a binary of miners and civilians? Are you hearing this shit? It's ridiculous.
No.
There were other humans in the tunnel, period. Some miners in coveralls and jackets with logos from the various installations, but most were in civilian work clothes.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Are miners not civilians?
Are they not considered people?
What's happening? What's happening here? Like,
Is that her attempt at saying citizen means human?
I don't know. Civilian, not citizen. Civilian. As though the miners are military. What?
I said that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is that her?
What is happening here? Why are we putting a fucking binary between you're either a miner or you're a civilian? Miners aren't military. What are you fucking talking about? Like if she'd said some Marines in coveralls and jackets and civilians, that would be one thing. Military people and civilians, that would be one thing, but we're saying miners and civilians, as though miners are not civilians. but most were in civilian work clothes, either techs or workers for the support companies. They moved quickly and stayed in groups. After 8 minutes of walking, most of the other humans in the tunnel had turned off to one of the tube access points. I sent through the feed, "Just keep walking. Don't stop. I'll meet you in the lobby." This is the part that doesn't fucking make sense. I dropped back into one of the darker branching tunnels. My clients kept moving and didn't look back at me, though I could tell Tapan wanted to. On the cameras, I watched potential threat / new target make his way up the tunnel. Look, we're assuming people's genders and pronouns again, based on literally nothing. Make his way up the tunnel, walking quickly. He was joined by 2 new humans, now designated Target 2 and Target 3. They passed me, and I came out of the tube access and followed at a distance. I scanned them for energy weapons and found no readings. All 3 targets wore jackets and pants with deep side pockets. I marked 7 locations where knives or extendable batons could be carried. So having pockets on your fucking pants is apparently inherently suspicious and dangerous. When they caught sight of my clients, the targets slowed down, but continued to reduce the distance between them. I knew they were probably reporting to someone on their feed, asking for instructions. Whoever it was didn't have control of the security cameras, at least not yet. Why would you assume that? Why would that be an assumption you would make? I followed, watching the targets through my eyes, through the security cameras, watching myself to make sure I wasn't drawing attention, that no one was following me. Art kept quiet, though I could tell it was interested in watching me work. Then the last group of miners between me and the targets turned into a tube access. We were in a bend of the tunnel, and there was no one between my clients and the next bend, some 50 meters ahead, and the security cameras showed me the tunnel was empty behind me. I needed to get this over with, period. I turned into the tube access behind the miners. I stopped at the top of the tube access while the miners boarded the capsule. The door hissed as it closed, and the capsule moved away. On security camera view, Target 2's jaw moved, indicating that he was speaking subvocally in his feed. Then the camera's feed cut off. I turned the corner back into the tunnel and started to run. It was a calculated risk, as I couldn't move at top speed without revealing I wasn't human, but I managed to arrive just as Target 1 reached Rami and grabbed the sleeve of her jacket. I broke his arm and slammed an elbow into his chin, then swung him into Target 2, who had turned toward me with the knife he had been approaching Morrow with. Target 2 accidentally, and then, in parentheses, "I'm guessing here, maybe they just didn't care for each other," end parentheses, stabbed Target 1. Target 2 staggered sideways, and I dropped Target 1 and broke Target 2's kneecap. Target 3 had, oh my god, why? Just further padding the fucking page count, despite the disgustingly huge margins, which is even more obvious on this fucking page than normal. Target 3 had time to lift his baton, and now hit me across the left side of my head and shoulder, which, granted, annoyed me a little, but I've had hauler bots hit me harder than that by accident. I blocked the second blow with my left arm, snapped his collarbone with one punch, and smashed his hip with another. He was lucky I wasn't a lot annoyed. All 3 targets were on the floor, and 2 was the only one who was still conscious, though he was curled up and whimpering. I turned to my clients, and again, why did Murderbot fuck off into a corner and just stand there and none of this makes sense. Hi. Wait, you can't actually sue me. I gotta be able to move my elbow. Sorry, cute patootie. Thank you. Just sit on your cute little bed. Why did Murderbot do that? Why did we have to... Did you hear that bullshit
No.
of just... The fact that in this book, Murderbot knows that there's people walking up to attack them. So it tells who it sees as its current slave owners to keep walking, and then goes and stands in the shadows, facing away, goes down a little fucking hallway for a bit, and then only comes back after the attack has already begun. For no reason. We're never given an explanation for this. Murderbot just put these people in danger for literally no reason, and we're never given any justification. We're just told, Murderbot knows that people are about to attack these people. So it's gonna go off into another hallway and wait until they're already attacking to do anything, to the point that it has to run to catch up and stop them.
It's because
Why?
she was going to write something clever and then forgot to write something clever and nobody edited it.
Literally, like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? And
Where was Murderbot in the vicinity of them before it decided to fuck off?
It was literally walking right with them,
So
right
if you
behind
just skip
them.
that section where it fucks off, how does the scene read?
After 8 minutes of walking, most of the other blah blah blah. Yeah, it literally waited until these people were completely alone and then it fucked off, so that it could attack the people who were immediately going to catch up with them from behind for no reason. Because it doesn't need to do a sneak attack. As we just saw, it got hit in the fucking.
Established, even if they hit it,
even if he hit me, it wouldn't. It's not like it would hurt. And then again, literally right here.
The attackers wielding guns?
No, they have knives and a fucking baton.
That's even worse.
The entire fight scene takes place in a single fucking obnoxiously huge paragraph right here. That's just nothing but that shitty action that I just described. Like, literally. Let me read the fight again. Like, we wasted. Here's where Murderbot tells them to keep walking, and then this entire page, including Murderbot. This is the part where it says, I turned the corner back into the tunnel and started to run. Why? Why did, like, why? Why do you need to run? Why did you leave them unsupervised in the first place? It just doesn't fucking make sense. It doesn't make sense in any way. Murderbot didn't need to do that for any reason whatsoever. Literally, Murderbot, these people apparently cannot hurt Murderbot even if they try, even if they hit it full force in the fucking side of the head with a fucking baton meant to crack open your skull. Apparently that doesn't hurt. It's just mildly annoying, according to this book. So why, and it instantly fucking incapacitates all of them. Let me see. It instantly breaks the one guy's arm. Then instantly breaks one guy's kneecap and his hip, and his collarbone, and then they're all lying on the floor completely incapacitated. And all of this has happened in probably like 2 fucking seconds. Why did Murderbot need to leave and do all of this shit only to have to run back and go, oh, I have to run slower than normal just so they don't realize I'm not human? But there's no reason for that. There's literally zero reason for that stupid little detour that existed for no reason except so that Martha Wells could say the line, I turned the corner back into the tunnel and started to run, as though Murderbot running is what makes this scene cool, even though it's just Murderbot being incompetent and not making any sense. All 3 targets were on the floor, and 2 was the only one who was still conscious, though he was curled up and whimpering. I turned to my clients, and remember, Murderbot sees these people as its slave owners right now, because that's what its fucking trauma is doing to it. Anytime this book series says clients, it means slave owners. Rami had a hand over to her mouth. Morrow was frozen in place, staring, and Tapan had thrown her hands up in the air. I said in the feed, go to the hotel, wait for me in the lobby. Don't run, walk. Morrow came out of shock first. She nodded hard, caught Rami's arm, and poked Tapan's why? Poked Tapan's shoulder. Why would that be the response in this situation? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Morrow came out of shock first. She nodded hard, caught Rami's arm, and poked Tapan's shoulder. Poking Tapan's shoulder. Not grabbing her shoulder protectively. Poking her. Oh my god. Rami turned to go, but Tapan said, security? I knew what she was asking. They told somebody to cut the cameras. That's why you need to leave now. And again, it doesn't make sense. The public feed up on the transit ring had said there was no overall security, but the security companies for the different service installations and contractors were supposed to take responsibility for the public areas nearest their territory. This spot had obviously been carefully calculated to be out of range of any immediate assistance by whoever had helped the targets by cutting the camera feed. I wasn't expecting an immediate response, but we did need to move relatively quickly. Why? That's something that requires planning ahead for when these people specifically weren't able to whatever. They're expecting them to be dead, but also they've planned this bullshit and they just conveniently walked into the exact place for this ambush that they apparently had to plan carefully ahead of time, and it's the one that Murderbot chose. This is just showing Murderbot to be incompetent, but we're just supposed to think it's cool and not question anything at all. It doesn't make sense.
We are gonna blow up your bomb. Oh no, let us go.
Let me go stare directly at it. Not even trying to defuse it, just staring at it. This spot had obviously been carefully calculated to be out of range of any immediate assistance. When was that calculation made? You could have picked literally any goddamn hallway to go out of. It's so fucking ridiculous. Nothing makes sense. Rami whispered, "Come on," and they started away, walking fast but not running. I turned to the target that was still conscious and pressed down on the artery in his neck until he passed out. I started away, walking at a normal pace. I was deep enough into the camera system to delete the temporary storage on the cameras ahead of me and behind the deactivated camera. That would help obscure the issue for anybody trying to figure out what had happened. But Talasi had seen me, and she would know. I was just hoping the kids listened to me this time. Okay, first of all, where did Talasi see you? When did Talasi see you? Just that fight? What do you mean Talasi saw you? What do you fucking mean? What do you mean Talasi had seen you and would know? But Talasi had seen me, and she would know. What do you mean? Know what? That you're a fucking sec unit? How would she know that? You just said that the fucking camera feeds were cut. What are you talking about? She did not see that fight. Again, Martha Wells is just fucking saying shit as though it makes sense. And we're just supposed to fucking go along with it or no.
No one edited.
We're just supposed to go along with it for literally no reason. I was just hoping the kids listened to me this time. We're calling them kids now, for some fucking reason. And again, if they are kids, then why aren't we criticizing or discussing anything about their situation at all? Because there's nothing being done here. We're just now saying that they're children. And then we have a line break right before the end of the chapter. So we have like less than a full page or so before the end of the chapter. So after the line break, after that bullshit, for the I was just hoping the kids listened to me this time. That phrase, that sentence, I don't think that doesn't sound natural for Murderbot to say. I feel like somebody else wrote that fucking line. I reached the interchange where various access tunnels and tube stations met, with a scatter of pop-up stands selling packaged food, feed interfaces, toiletries, and other things humans liked. It wasn't crowded, but there was a steady flow of foot traffic. The hotel entrance was on the far side. The lobby was built on various platforms overlooking a hollow sculpture of an open chasm filled with giant crystalline structures growing out of the walls. From the notations in the feed, it was supposed to be educational, but did we go back in time? Didn't I already read this?
What?
This description.
What the description?
The hotel entrance. The lobby was built on various platforms overlooking a hollow sculpture of an open chasm filled with giant crystalline structure growing out of the walls.
It kind of sounds like the description of the mall.
Are we just getting... Yeah, like, just search maybe chasm or crystalline. That's the one I'm at right now. Maybe search minerals. Mineral deposits, maybe. Just try minerals first. Maybe just mineral. Yeah. Okay, so it's not the exact thing. What? In chapter 5 it said, In chapter 5 it said, we came out into a central hub, which had a clear, high clear dome, allowing a view of the cavern arching overhead, with lights trained on it to show off the colorful mineral veins. I scanned to make sure. Okay, so we're just doing like the same basic description twice, but this time it's a hologram. So that was chapter 5. This is also chapter 5. What? Scroll up a bit until you see how far into the chapter that was.
I have the font really big on my Kindle, so it's not
So
very
at the
far.
start of chapter 5, are you kidding me?
What is the description you just read?
Just the same. What the fuck? At the start of chapter 5, we got the quote, we came out into a central hub, which had a high clear dome. Is the word ceiling just not there? Which had a high clear dome, allowing a view of the cavern arcing overhead, with lights trained on it to show off the colorful mineral veins. We're now almost at the end of chapter 5. Chapter 6 starts on the very next page after this fucking blank entire goddamn page. These fucking despicable scammers inserted into the middle of the fucking book to scam us out of as much money as possible. We get the lobby was built on various platforms overlooking a hollow sculpture of an open chasm filled with giant crystalline structure growing out from the walls. From the notations in the feed, it was supposed to be educational, but I had serious doubts about whether the mines on Rabbi High-Ra looked like that. So, we got this. Both places look the same. They both have displays of the fucking mine showing the fucking shit they're mining. Twice in the same chapter, and it's not referenced as this was a fucking replica of the thing we had passed in the first thing. And I wondered, and I'm just making shit up right now, and I wondered if all of the fucking mine lobbies had some variation on this exact same theme. I guess creativity was not in excess. Something, anything. We're just saying the same they both have the same exact decorations of here's the mine with all the minerals. You can see the minerals. We're not even acknowledging that we've just repeated that. Like, literally making me think that maybe I fucking turned to the wrong page, or that the book was fucking misprinted and was just going to start all over again. Like, as long as you please. I'm gonna read that story for fucking YouTube. It's ridiculous. I was just, yeah, so, lack of editing. The lack of editing. So she came up with the idea that you show the mine and you show the crystals, and then she did it twice and didn't notice that she'd done it twice, because if she'd noticed that she'd done it twice, why would, and this all in the same chapter. And is there even a table of contents in this book? Because I don't think there fucking is. Because I guess we don't deserve table of contents anymore. There's no table of contents in here, just like in the first one. So I have to manually scroll the fuck back. Turn the pages back to the start of chapter 5. Like, you literally couldn't. Chapter 5 started on page 75. We're now on page 98. And this is with disgustingly huge margins and as much space between everything as possible to stretch it out as much as possible, because it's a fucking scam. And let me even just see where that fucking first usage of this description was. That first time we used this fucking same description thing, that was on page 83. We're on page 98 now. And again, this is page numbers with as much space between each page as possible to spread the text out as much as... Nope, you're in the way. To spread the text out as much as possible to skim. Wait, no, you can't take that. It's my coaster. She knocked it down, and then I put it back, and then she immediately picked it up and shook it like a little rag doll. That was adorable, but you can't do that. From page 83 to page 98, she did the same fucking description twice. And not one single person said, hey, you've used the same fucking description twice. You either want to edit that out or, like...
Call back to it.
Call back to it and say, this is, like, a fucking replica of the thing we saw in the first place. Are all of the just have a character comment, are all of these lobbies going to have the same decor? This is really weird. No, not even the bare minimum of edit in a fucking line to turn it into a goddamn joke about how uncreative these people are. It's just genuinely your uncreativeness to the fact that you don't even reread your goddamn book before you publish it, apparently, to notice this really blatant shit. Because I didn't read page 83 in this video, I don't fucking think. I'm pretty fucking sure that was the weeks ago or so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was, like, the video I did, like, maybe last week or so. I don't know. That's absurd. That's just fucking ridiculous. And it's after this fucking line break, too. You should be suspicious anytime you see a line break in a Martha Wells book. It's not a good sign for what comes after it. Because in book 1, we had a line break, and then she just broke the fucking fourth wall. Instead of ending the chapter, she literally just broke the fourth wall and told us not to complain that the character's actions don't make sense. Because they totally do. They don't. She just broke the fourth wall to yell at us preemptively not to complain that the bad writing is bad writing. Because very clearly somebody pointed out to her, it really doesn't make sense here that they're doing this. And then she's like, yes it does! Don't yell at me! So, this is ridiculous. Explains why I had a weird sense of deja vu the first time I read this description, because I'm like, but isn't there supposed to be some comment about how it's supposed to be educational, but it's probably definitely not accurate? And then that didn't happen the first time, and I'm like, okay, did I just imagine that? No. It's just that she didn't edit this shit, and doesn't give a fuck that she just used it twice, in the same chapter, like 15 shitty scammy book pages apart. So much less than that. I don't even want to guess how many words are between these very blatantly not edited things. My clients were on the same platform as the check-in. You know what? Let me look at this fucking what's below this line break. Below this line break, until the next page, we're not referring to these clients by any specific names. So do we think she wrote this shit first? And then before deciding on their names and then just slapped it in here and then didn't fucking edit it? Because
I wasn't listening.
It's just ridiculous. My clients were on the same platform as the check-in area near the railing around the sculpture's artificial chasm. I thought it was a hologram. But it has a railing. What? Whatever. Okay. My clients were on the same platform as the check-in area, near the railing around the sculpture's artificial chasm, sitting... wait. If you're on the murder... Okay, hold on. If the artificial chasm hologram is in the middle of the room, and presumably you have to stand at the railing that there exists, and look down into the hologram, how can Murderbot see that from the fucking doorway? What is going on here? My clients were on the same platform as the check-in area, unless your Murderbot's up near the... Nope. No. It's not up on the ceiling. It's not up on any of the ceiling platforms. Because... Oh my god. My clients were on the same platform as the check-in area, near the railing around the sculpture's artificial chasm, sitting on a round backless couch thing that looked more like a decorative object than furniture. I sat on my heels in front of them. So, just teleporting to them. Why are we being told about the extra platforms and saying that they're on the same platform as the chicken thing, if that's also the platform Murderbot is in? Saying they're on the same platform as the door implies that Murderbot is not on the same platform as the door or them. But no, it's just teleporting to, I sat on my heels in front of them. Why? Rami said, they were going to kill us. Again, I said. Rami bit her lip. I believed you about the shuttle. I believed you, ... But now you've seen it, I said. I knew what T meant. There was a huge difference between knowing something happened and seeing the reality of it, even for sec units. Morrow rubbed her eyes. Yeah, we were idiots. Talisi was never going to let us give her the bonus for our files. No, she wasn't, I agreed. Rami nudged her. You were right. Morrow looked more depressed. I didn't want to be. Tapan said miserably, we're wrecked. Rami put an arm around her. We're alive. T looked at me. What do we do now? I said, let me get you out of here. And then we're at No, correction. Then we're at the entire fucking pathetic blank page inserted into this fucking book to fucking pad out and use as much material as possible to try and justify the ridiculous fucking prices on these things. And it's not even consistent because they didn't even do that for chapter 5. So they're just not even trying to pretend that this is a stylistic choice. It's just a blatant scam. It's so fucking ridiculous. Like, it's not even like this shit ended all the way down here and they felt the need to insert a new fucking page. It's all the way up here. There's like half the fucking page is space. And then they put another entire blank page anyways. So fucking absurd. Phone is at 41%, so I'm gonna keep going. So we're on chapter 6 now, and look how much space they take up after inserting the entire blank page. This much of the fucking page. They didn't even put chapter 6 in really big fucking font to try and justify that. It's just the regular sized font, and they're just taking up like 2.5 inches at the top of the page for no reason, and then like an entire inch again at the bottom. Oh my god. I took them to the public shuttle slots first, then passed that section to the private docks. Checking the schedules, Art had already scanned a likely shuttle. It was privately owned, but the frequency of its trips to and from the transit ring suggested an entrepreneur who was offering private rides for hard currency. I have a question. Why doesn't Murderbot just hack one of the automated things like it was originally going to do before Art said, no, actually, you should do this other, more dangerous thing instead? Why don't we just do that? It's not like these fuckers are going to tell anybody. Not that we care about that. We wouldn't even take that into consideration because Murderbot's just waltzing around everywhere on camera, creating a paper trail. This proved to be accurate, and it would allow Rami, Morrow, and Tapan to leave without their employment vouchers being scanned. It would probably have been safe at this point to put them on a public shuttle, as long as there was no advance notice of which one they were taking. Killaware couldn't travel over the feed to infect a shuttle. There were too many protections in place. Whoever had planned to kill us on arrival had to again with the had. Just say, whoever had planned to kill us on arrival had to deliver the... Just fucking ridiculous. Had to deliver the killware directly through a data port actually inside the shuttle's cockpit. But I'm programmed to be paranoid. You're not programmed to be paranoid, you have fucking PTSD. This private shuttle had the... And again, we're stating... Martha Wells is stating right now that Murderbot's paranoid to be... Programmed to be paranoid. Okay, then why isn't it paying attention to everything going on around it? Oh, that's right. It's because you're just a shit writer who doesn't want to describe things or actually have a proper fucking setting, and your justification for not doing the bare minimum of fucking writing is to claim that, Murderbot just wouldn't notice or care about those things. And yet you want to tell us that it's programmed to be paranoid? Even though paranoia would force Murderbot to pay attention to everything going around it in detail? You literally want to have it both ways? You want to have your cake and eat it too? Really? You can hand me another bottle of water. Where the fuck was I? Yeah, this bullshit. But I'm programmed to be paranoid. No, you're not. This private shuttle had the benefit not only of anonymity, but of an augmented human pilot who would be in place in case something interfered with the bot pilot. Plus Art, who was already... Let me get a drink. And Art, who was already cozying up to said bot pilot and would be keeping an eye on the shuttle during the brief trip. Parentheses. Art's idea of cozying being somewhat overbearing, I had already had to intervene once to assure the bot pilot that the big mean transport had promised not to hurt it. End parentheses. So, Art literally treats everybody the exact same way it treated Murderbot by threatening to fucking kill it, and Murderbot has to intervene and assure the fucking robot whose body Art is fucking puppeting that it's not going to hurt it. And that's supposed to be funny. As though these people wouldn't blink twice, would even blink twice about murdering this robot. You're not going with us? Rami asked, standing in the small embarkation area. Let me get my mouse. Whatever. The private docks were dingy and small compared to the Port Authority's docks, with stains on the metal partitions and some of the lights up in the rocky ceiling broken or dim. Humans and a few bots were moving along the walkway above us, and I kept an eye on both approaches through the security cameras. The shuttle was already... You notice all this multitasking Murderbot's doing? Just keep that in mind. Whatever the Mickey Mouse quote is. That's a secret tool that will help us later or whatever. The shuttle was already loaded into its slot, and its hatch was open, and a small augmented human standing on the ramp to take the money. 6 other passengers had already boarded, and it was taking a large portion of my self-control not to just scoop up my clients and carry them aboard. And again, clients equals slave owners. Murderbot sees these people as its slave owners. That's explicit. You'll fucking see. I said, and even if it weren't explicit, that's very clear what's going on here to anybody with critical thinking skills who understands how fucking trauma and shit works. You're so cute. That was an adorable little yawn. Art has purposefully gone out of its way to re-traumatize Murderbot and force it back into the mindset of a slave who must do everything that its slave owners say and can't argue against them. I'm not joking. That's the explicit message of this book, but we're not supposed to place the blame on Art at all. We're just supposed to think, oh, yeah, it just happened. It's totally inevitable, because that's the mindset Murderbot should be in. I said, I still need to do some research here. I'll go back to the transit ring when I'm finished. How do we pay you? Mara asked. I mean, can we still afford you after ... everything? After they tried to kill us, she added it in our joint feed connection. I'll check my social feed profile on the ring, I said, and felt pretty good that I had even remembered it existed. Send a note to me there, and I'll find you when I get back. Assuming they would even be waiting around? You don't know how fucking long this could take. Why would they hang around in the place that somebody's already tried to murder them? That's another just basic fucking plot hole that doesn't make sense. Like, don't leave, don't get the fuck out of Dodge, wait around and you can pay me in some undetermined time in the future. Murderbot's not even giving them a fucking time scale. It's just, I'll check my feed profile, I'll check my Facebook when I get back. Not even gonna give you a time frame of when that might be. It could be days, it could be months, it could be a whole year. Send a note to me there, and I'll find you when I get back. As though, why are we assuming they won't immediately try to leave? It's just, I know we're... Tapan glanced around. Her expression was tense and unhappy, her body language bordering on desperate. We can't stay here, but I can't give up either. Our work... I said, sometimes people do things to you Sometimes people do things to you that you can't do anything about. You just have to survive it and go on. They all stopped talking and stared at me. It made me nervous, and I immediately switched my view to the nearest security camera so I could watch us from the side. I had said it with more emphasis than I intended, but it was just the way things were. I wasn't sure why it had such an impact on them. Maybe I sounded like I knew what I was talking about. Maybe it was the 2 murder attempts. And like that line is very clearly meant to be deep and meaningful, and it just falls flat. Then Morrow nodded. Like, that line could make more fucking sense if this story actually gave a shit about slavery and actually cared about Murderbot. But neither of those things are true. Then Morrow nodded, her mouth set in a grim line. She and Rami looked at each other, and Rami nodded sadly. Morrow said, "We need to get back to the others, figure out what to do next, look for the next assignment." Rami added, "We'll start over. We did it once, we can do it again." Tapan looked like she wanted to protest, but was too depressed to argue. They wanted to say goodbye a lot and thank me, and I herded them up the ramp while they were doing it, and watched Rami pay for their passage with a currency card that the crew person pressed to an interface. Then they were aboard. The hatch closed. Oh, I think I got an extra page. The hatch closed, and the hatch closed, and the shuttle's feed signaled post-boarding mode, waiting for its clearance to leave. I went back down the access, heading for the walkway. I needed to get to the tube over to the area where the tunnel diversion had occurred and start searching for Ganaka Pit. It was a relief to have my clients headed back to safety. And again, Murderbot using the word clients means it's thinking of those people as its slave owners. But it felt odd to be on my own again, working for no one except myself. I went to the tube access and boarded the next capsule to stop. Each capsule had seating for 20 people, plus an overhead rack to hold onto. The gravity was adjusted inside the cab to compensate for the motion. I took a seat with the 7 humans already aboard. Art said, "The shuttle has launched. I'll monitor your feed, but much of my attention will be on it." Does that make sense with everything we've been told about Art's processing power so far? No, it does not. What was that, kitties? Making weird noises? I sent an acknowledgement. I was trying to isolate why I felt so uneasy. Trapped in a small enclosed space with humans, check. Missing my drones, check. My giant asshole resource transport too busy to complain at, check. Needed to actually focus on what I was doing, so couldn't watch media, check. But that wasn't what it was. I hadn't done a good job for my clients. Oh my god. I had, again, the opportunity and had failed. As a sec unit, as the enslaved meat shield whose sole purpose is to jump in front of fucking bullets and shit, I had the responsibility for my slave owners' clients' safety, but no authority to do anything other than make suggestions, and try to use the company regulations inbuilt in a sec system to override the humans' suicidal stupidity and homicidal impulses. This time, I had responsibility and authority, and had still failed. Explicitly telling us that Murderbot fucking was incompetent, and it doesn't even make sense. That doesn't even explain what the fuck was going on in the hallway where Murderbot just fucked off to another hallway for no reason. Explicitly telling us, and it's going to get even clearer later, that Murderbot was incompetent in protecting these people because it was literally put back into the mindset that these are my slave owners. I'm not actually allowed to veto anything they want to do or say. I can try to gently persuade them, but if they won't back down from that, I'm not allowed to tell them no. And that's what fucked up. But we're not actually supposed to see this as a bad thing. This is supposed to be saying, oh, Murderbot fucked up. But it didn't actually fuck up. Even with the whole random ass, no explanation, let's fuck off and stand in a different hallway for literally no reason. Nobody got hurt, except for the bad guys, which would have happened exactly the same way if Murderbot had not ran off to stand in a random hallway for literally no reason. I told myself they were alive. I just hadn't gotten their property back, which had actually not been part of the job they hired me for. It didn't help. So Murderbot is feeling fucking depressed. Depressed and upset and anxious, because we're told it feels uneasy, meaning anxious. It's feeling fucking depressed and anxious because it didn't get the people who it's seeing as its slave owners' property back. I got off the tube on the far end of its circuit. This was a warren of tunnels that, according to the map, led off to various private tube accesses for the distant mining pits. Only a few humans got off the tube here, all heading immediately down the tunnel for the nearest tube interchange. I went the other direction. I spent the next hour hacking cameras and security barriers, slipping in and out of half-completed tunnels, many with warning markers for air quality. Finally, I located one that showed evidence of past use as a mining access. It was big enough for the largest hauler bots, and the cameras and lights were down. As I went along it, climbing over rock and metal debris, I felt the public feed drop out. So, again, it's just... just such bullshit. So, again, the cover-up, which apparently is not really a cover-up, they're not actually going to do anything to cover it up, like paying people to be quiet or, killing the witnesses, or at least getting them off the station and separating them. But they are going to dig an entire brand new tunnel that has to be giant for machinery for no reason, even though they took it off the map. As I went along it, climbing over rock and metal debris, I felt the public feed drop out. Why would that happen? So ridiculous. Murderbot could literally just walk up to any person who's been here for more than 4 years, a thing it could very easily check by looking at their space Facebook profile, and just ask them a question. If intelligence were required in the writing of this, scroll through their space Facebook profile and look for coded messages about the massacre, because all the Frank fucking posts about the massacre get deleted. I stopped and checked Art's comm, but it was only picking up static. I didn't think it was any deliberate attempt to block my connection to the rest of the installation. I'd experienced that type of outage before, and this felt different. I think this tunnel was so deep below the surface that the comm and feed needed powered relays to get out, and those weren't functioning anymore. Even though the signal hasn't been steadily weakening or glitching out, and now it's dropping away, it's suddenly just gone. Just after Murderbot takes a few steps, and suddenly it's gone. Is Murderbot gonna back up a bit and just say, "Hey Art, the fucking thing down here doesn't work, so I'm just gonna go down. You might not hear from me. If I'm not back in XYZ time, assume I died?" No, that would make sense. That would make sense. So it's just gonna keep going and not warn Art. By the way, there's no phone service down here. I had to back up. And again, it's not like the fucking phone service is getting lower and lower bars the further it goes. And no, it's just suddenly gone. All of a sudden. And still not gonna just back up a bit and say, by the way, no phone service. Sorry. No. That would make sense. So, blah blah blah. So far below the surface that the comm and the feed needed powered relays to get out, and those weren't functioning anymore. Something ahead still had power, because my feed was picking up intermittent signals, all automated warnings. I kept going. It just doesn't make sense. It's not like Murderbot and Art even planned ahead for this contingency, because that's not mentioned. This is so ridiculous, and we're going to have another line break. Do you see that line break right there? Oh, it's not a good sign. I had to open another security barrier, but past it found a cargo tube access, and managed to push the sliding door open. A small passenger tube was still there. It hadn't been used in a long time. Long enough for the... You know how long it's been since it was used? Like 4 years, because that's how long ago this happened. It was only 4 years ago. It hadn't been used in a long time. long enough for the water and scattered trash on the carpet to combine and grow something squishy. Why is there water on the carpet? What? Why would there be water on the carpet if it's still sealed? The cargo tube, Murderbot managed to push the fucking door open, meaning it was very difficult to get open. Why is there water on the floor? Long enough for the water and scattered trash on the carpet to combine and grow something squishy. Why would you know that it was water and trash? Like, say the carpet was covered in what seemed to have once been a carpet was now a mass of something squishy with fucking ancient remains and flaking, decaying remains of plastic food wrappers or anything. It doesn't make sense. I made my way up to the front compartment where the manual emergency controls were. There was still power in the batteries, though not much. It had been left here, forgotten, slowly dying in the darkness as the hours ticked away. Not that I was feeling morbid or anything. You literally could have just backed up 5 fucking feet and said to Art, "Oh, by the way, the phone service, I don't got any bars down here. The phones are dead." Nope, no, but now we're gonna pretend to be deep and meaningful and morbid and edgy and symbolic. And then immediately throw that into the trash that's apparently growing mold on the carpet. Not that I was feeling morbid or anything. I checked, and again, we don't need to be told you're feeling morbid. You could describe that to us. I checked to make sure there was no active security attached to it, then got it started. It groaned into life, lifted off the ground, and started down the tunnel into darkness, following its programmed route. I sat down on the bench to wait, and then we have a fucking line break. What's my phone at? 31% battery, so if I want to be able to upload this video to YouTube before fucking 5 a.m. or something, I'm gonna have to end this video here. We're now on page 106. At the end of a stupid little line break. You should never trust line breaks in a Martha Wells stories, because she might just repeat everything she just said as though it's been months between we read what was literally right above there, and also she might just break the fourth wall and tell you to stop complaining that the character's decisions don't make sense. Anyways, yep, that's it. See ya again at some point.